afternoon. My name is Alejandro De Paz.
Good afternoon. My name is Nanyargo Patrick Duru,
And today we're going to be presenting our emotional well-being challenge.
and the topic is screen time and its effect on teenagers.
And we're representing the Advanced Technical Center, HOSA chapter 56006.
Okay, this pre-survey would just be a preliminary survey to test your knowledge about the topic and about what you know before we do the presentation about phone use and how excess of it can interfere with development of the brain and your mental health. So the reason why we chose this topic is because every day, even now, people are on their phones. I'm not looking at nobody, but some people are on their phones even now as we talk about how it negatively affects you. From walking, crossing the street, some people are looking down on their phones. From driving, some people are looking down on their phones, causing accidents. And even in teenagers, it has been proven that looking at your teenagers, their phone use is affecting the way they learn and their education, and that too much of it can cause negative, immense damage to the brain and its development. Our vision here, of what we are here to do, is to just inform you guys of how bad it is to have upwards of 10 hours of phone usage a day. I know some people here have some. I do. So I do know how bad it is. And we're just trying to give you the resources to help you change that, help you become a better person, help you realize that this is a mistake, that what I'm doing is not right, what I'm doing is negatively affecting my mental health, my mental and physical health, and that I will improve.
Wait, before my friend continues here, I just want to do a little survey between me and him. I want everybody to raise their hands if you have more than 1 hour of screen time per day. How about 5, 7, 10? How many of y'all have an amount that you guys would admit is kind of a little bit too bad? Keep your hands up.
There was a time I pushed 18 in one day. I'm not ashamed. 18 in one day. And there's 24 hours a day. I pushed 18 hours in one day one time.
I'll admit too, I really use my phone a lot. And that's why, if you guys feel like this presentation is kind of throwing a little bit of shade or something, it's not bad to be on your phone. But we have to learn to control it. Because if we spend all of our time when we're up in the morning, throughout the school day, we're doing all this, it's we're not going to focus on school, our friends, family. We're just going to be caught up. And yeah.
So our objectives is to heighten the awareness of screen time and its negative health effects, to also give you the resources to help you change, or if you want change, to help you change the amount of screen time you have, and to give you solutions to said screen time and ways you can change and the positive responses to screen time. So these are some facts about tech and teens. In the US, over 95% of teenagers have smartphones, unsurprisingly. In the US, over half the teen population has suffered or experienced some form of mental health disorder, i.e. PTSD, anxiety, ADHD, OCD, and all the other disorders that are caused through mental health. Also loneliness, and loneliness? I wouldn't classify that as a mental health disease, but the ability to think the world is against you, and cyberbullying. 1 in 4 teenagers ages 12 to 17 with over 4 hours of screen time experience anxiety. So if you're above 4 hours, you will most likely experience anxiety and depressive symptoms. You also get into depression, and that's not really good for anybody. And the average teenager spends 7.5 to 8.5 hours a day on their devices. Now that is shocking. So if you have under that, congratulations, you are below the average amount of screen time as the average teenager. If you have above that, like me, you need to stop cutting the hours of screen time and phone usage.
Before my friend continues, there's another thing that's like kind of becoming an addressing problem, in which there's like kids 7, 8 years old already having phones. I want to ask like somebody random in the audience, how old were y'all when y'all got your first phone? Like anybody can answer you?
I was like in the second grade.
Wait, how old were you? My bad. I just don't know.
7.
And what did you use it for? Was it for like communicating with your parents or just like be on it?
Communicating with my parents and YouTube.
Anybody else want to answer it?
I mean, it's not really a phone, but as long as I can remember, I came out the womb with an iPad. So, I think I remember getting my first iPad when I was like 3 or 5 years old.
And then some of the physical effects that screens and all that can have on you is difficulty falling asleep, because there's this thing in your brain. It's called the pineal gland. It's like stuck all the way up in here. But basically, what it does, it releases this thing called melatonin. That when you're in like an environment that's dark, that's when you start secreting it, which is like when it starts releasing and when it makes you fall asleep. But since you have that bright light like all the time when you're about to fall asleep, your brain is like tricked into thinking, oh yeah, I'm in this bright room. But in reality, all it is your phone. So that's why if you guys, as soon as you hop off your phone and you're trying to go to sleep, you can't. It's mainly because of that. And then loss of interest in things such as sports, just because of the addiction. Like say I've experienced that. Like before, back when I used to have this like gaming setup, I wouldn't go outside and play anything. But once I took it away, that's when I started finding love for soccer again. And then some other things are constant eye strains and headaches because of the way that your phone just like messes up with your eyes and your brain, especially when you're in a car. I know like a lot of us have felt that motion sickness, all because of how a phone can affect your like brain. And then you can also develop deformities such as back and neck pain, that lead to a deformed spine. Like researchers say that eventually like most generations are going to be what is known as a hunchback, where your back is kind of like all the way bent down. And then also other things that it can cause are obesity, it can cause cardiovascular disease, and even some kind of cancers, because all it does is kind of just mess up your mind. It makes you don't want to do anything anymore. Yeah. And now on to the emotional side of it. It can cause detachment from like your friends, family, basically society, because of the self-esteem effects, because it makes you have things such as anxiety and depression, or you can experience things such as becoming a victim of cyberbullying, online sexual harassment, or other things such as that sort, because not all people on the internet are nice. I feel like most people have seen or have experienced some form of cyberbullying, where it can be a thing such simple as saying, oh, you're ugly, or oh, you're fat, or something like that. But even a simple word, even if it's just a text, that can hurt. And then there's also things such as emotional regulation that leads to behavioral problems, because yet again, your phone affects your mind. And then social isolation due to making those fake online relationships that don't compete in the real world, because basically your online friend won't give you the same as a real life friend.
Okay, what my friend Alejandro missed is that this doesn't only expand to phones, this is to all electronics and all things that you use to socially interact with those of the outside world without physically meeting them. Like, how many of us here has a PlayStation, Xbox? Raise your hand. How many of you here have cussed somebody out over the Xbox microphone because they're so bad at the game?
They was doing too much.
That is cyberbullying, okay? That is the reality of the world we live in. I'm not gonna throw any shade towards any of you, because frankly I did some of those things, and some of them I would not say. But hey, I'm just saying that is the reality of the world we live in. These are the consequences of being exposed to such vast amount of knowledge and meeting a lot of different people on the internet. So just stay safe and stay protected out there.
Yeah, like my friend Patrick here, yesterday I texted him and he got mad because I was interrupting and scrolling because I kept on spamming him with riddles. But then we created this little acronym that we like to call ACT. We were gonna call it ATC because we're all in ATC, but what we think should be an actual valid response to it, which wouldn't affect you as badly as say, oh, I'm gonna just cut out my phone. But you can acknowledge what the issue is. Like say for example, I acknowledge that my issue could be I spend too much time playing video games, or I spend too much time on Instagram, TikTok, or any other social media, and then do a corrective action, which could be something as, oh, I'm gonna set a time limit for 1 hour, or an hour before going to sleep, I'm gonna read a book instead, or I'm gonna just go to sleep. And then the third thing is treating symptoms, which can be things like replacing it basically, because we all know that trying to leave something, you're kind of like left itching with what you want to do after that. And yeah. And then ways to help yourself, kind of going into like our response thing, is setting healthy time limits for yourself. Talk to someone, for example, a therapist, a trusted friend, or an adult, or find activities that don't include screens, such as an after-school club or sports. And you can also use your phone to like find people who want to quit too, because there's a lot of pages on like TikTok and Instagram that like help you set time limits. And then you can also check your own screen time to kind of like give yourself the cold reality, kind of like that cold turkey thing that they call it, where you can like install things like Net Nanny, Family Time, and Bark, which are kind of like more for your parents, but you can still set it on yourself. And then this is our post survey. If you guys can scan it just like y'all did with the last one. And then thank you guys for listening. If you guys have any questions for us, any, like it could be a silly question. No question is silly though.
Yeah, it could be.
You over there. My bad. Wait, what's your name?
Sophia.
Sophia.
Alright, how did y'all find credible sources?
What we did was basically we went to websites such as the APA, the American Psychology Association, and those kind of websites. We kind of like wanted like psychology, but then we also kind of like looked at teenagers writing about that, because there's a lot of teenagers that write about that. And we also looked at other like YouTube videos of like students that did kind of like this kind of project. Yeah.
Since technology is also very much implemented in our school education system, and a lot of teachers and classes rely on the use of technology to assign, like, to grade and to make students do work. And so it's like you're already at school for 8 hours, and then each class is like you're on your laptop. So what solutions do you surmise that teachers can like implement, or like the school, to reduce the screen time of teenagers?
My answer to the question is that you can go back to papers. You can start, writing on papers, but even though a lot of people don't like that, and the other answer is that use of technology is decent in moderation. Like everything is decent in moderation, and what we talk about is excess. This is when you use up to 7 to 8 hours a day on something other than learning or schoolwork, because most of the times you're on a laptop or on a computer. How much of that a day would you consider productive 100% work that you're putting into? And many of us would be like, for me, it's at least give or take 4 hours a day of actual productive work I'm doing on the computer, and the rest is just me scrolling, searching up stuff on Google that has no relation to the topic whatsoever. So my point is that electronic use and laptop use for schoolwork and for schools is great because it's in moderation, and you more than likely getting information that you used to grow out of it, other than you doom scrolling TikTok or going on Twitter and listening to what Kanye has posted this week and just being angry at yourself.
And thank you everybody for your time and your questions, and thank you guys for being such an engaging audience.